The men's national team snuck out a win in Kingston last night. Don't worry, guys. The Club World Cup has secured a sponsor. The men's national team snuck and there's out chaos in lower league American soccer. Good morning and welcome. This and more on Friday's Morning Kickaround. Welcome and hello into Morning Kickaround, where we cover the world's favorite game from the world's favorite country, coming to you live each Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm Robert Kerr, happy to be joined once again by Puerto Rico's favorite Jason Davis. How you doing?
That I probably am Puerto Rico's favorite Jason Davis. I do think that we have the most entertaining country, Robert. Certainly right now, we have the most entertaining. There's no doubt about the entertainment value that is coming out of our country. Whether or not we're everyone's favorite or whatever, that we'll leave that for a different day. But it's certainly not popular in Jamaica today.
I think I might change the tagline to the show, most entertaining, because favorite is a loaded word at this current state of affairs. I think entertaining is a good way to augment that. But glad to see you're back from your travels all in one piece. That's excellent. We were treated with an excellent game last night. How did you take in the game last night?
I watched it at home, got the little one to bed. Well, actually, my wife got the little one to bed. I should probably thank her for taking care of everything last night because I had a game to watch. I did a best soccer show afterwards. Go find that on YouTube if you want to listen to a live reaction show that I did or watch one, I guess. It's also a podcast. Yeah, that's how I did that. I was excited the first 5 minutes, Robert. I really got up for it. And then, maybe it wasn't quite as entertaining from there.
Yeah, it definitely had a hot start. And the 8 o'clock, I complain a lot about the late starts in most of these national team games, but the 8 o'clock start really got in the middle of family time there.
Yeah, but it was better than a 10 o'clock start. It wasn't the best moment if you have other responsibilities, but it was, this is what we do as sports fans. We got to make some time. We got to make time, Robert. Not all our games can happen in the morning on a Saturday as an excuse to drink alcohol at a pub.
I actually man caved it for the first time, and there's a TV down in the basement that I never use, and so I hid away from the family who were watching Beethoven, the old movie with the big dog.
Yeah. Never seen the whole thing myself. I don't think. Maybe I have. Maybe I blocked it out. Maybe that's what's happened there.
From what I heard from upstairs, it sounded like a laugh riot for the family.
Oh, I bet the kids loved it. I'm sure if I showed it to Tiago, he would adore it. Giant dog doing hilarious things. What could be better than that?
Before we jump into today's segments, be sure to like and subscribe the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. The subscribers have been slowly ticking up. We need to make it to that first benchmark of 500 subscribers to really get the ball rolling. So be sure to tell your people.
Yes. Tell your people. I saw that you and Luke did a good job on Wednesday, and we got some new subscribers. So welcome to you, all you new MK Ultras.
Yes, welcome, MK Ultras. Get in there, do your job, get those followers, subscribers locked in, and you can follow along on social media, Kickaround on X and Instagram. And also wanted to ask, what other platforms should we move to? I've been hearing that there's one called Blue Sky and Threads and all sorts of others. We need to find another alternative.
I don't know anything about Threads. I've been off Instagram for a long time. I know the show's got a presence there. That's good. But Blue Sky seems to be fine and fun. And there's a soccer community growing. So maybe we need to launch on Blue Sky. You can follow me on Blue Sky.
You already there?
Davis Jason dot whatever Blue Sky does with the other stuff. Davis Jason dot bsky.social or whatever it is. But just look for Davis Jason. You'll find me.
Don't follow Jason32561. That's not him.
No, don't follow, J Davis soccer guy 32567. That's not me. That's not me. I'm Davis Jason over there.
All right, let's get rolling. Let's cue Friday's long balls. All right. Last night, USA beat Jamaica on the road, a rare road match for the U.S. men's national team. 1-0 win away. What did you think of that, Jason?
It was a 1-0 win away. I mean,
It
I
was what it
look,
was.
I could expound. I mean, I will expound. I mean, we'll do this a little bit more later as we kind of look into this performance. But look, what it does, it sets you up for the second leg at home, where you should be more comfortable, where things should flow a little better, where the surface of the field should be slightly improved. You know, that kind of stuff, right? The fans will be on your side for the most part. I'm sure there will be a Jamaican contingent in St. Louis, but it was very businesslike, right? It was very sort of just take care. I know there were moments, and again, we can break them down later, but there were some scary moments. Shout out to Matt Turner, who both created a problem and solved a problem. Shout out to Yunus Musa, who also solved a problem. But it was sort of what you would expect in CONCACAF. To dream of something much better just because we have a new fancy coach was probably never realistic anyway.
A new fancy coach. I like that. So does he have twinkly shoes too? Like he
No, he's got lemons in his office to absorb the negative energy. He drinks mate. I'm assuming he drinks mate. All the Argentinians drink mate, right? Yes,
Oh, I
yes.
believe so.
He rocks the dad bod in a very very comfortable way. So good on Mauricio Pochettino. He's fancy.
Yeah, it was nice to see United States actually play away. We haven't seen too many away fixtures for this team, and there won't be many coming up with no qualification for the World Cup. So it was nice to see them, be under some pressure of away fans, not have the comforts of home, and get something out of the game. That was nice. And you mentioned it already. That field, wow. I mean, that almost looked like when the NFL players go and play in Wembley and how they just churn everything up. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you have to do to the grass to make it that combustible? I don't know.
It's a tropical island where it's always raining, or it's always humid, or it's always hot. I mean, I just left the Caribbean, right? I spent 10 days in Puerto Rico, and everything is sort of just a little less easy when you're in those kinds of environments. It just is like stuff grows like crazy. And again, you might like mow the grass on Monday and it'd be too long to play on Wednesday. Like that's the way it happens in places like that, because there's rain and there's sun and it's warm. So stuff grows, and maybe that's it. And it just, you get a little soft, get a little boggy. And that's what we saw. That's what we
There
saw.
was a moment early in the game. I heard the commentators kind of um, lamenting in the fact that the surface seemed to be playing slow, and it was almost made me chuckle. I think Pulisic played a through ball to Robinson down the left, and it looked like he was clear through on goal, and the ball almost dead stopped, and it allowed all the defenders to catch up.
There were some moments too when I will say, give credit to the United States, because I think there were obviously moments like that where you kind of forget, you're on muscle memory, right? And you're used to well manicured fields and pitches wherever you play, when you play at Milan or you play in England or whatever. But it seemed as though they had it in their minds. We gotta hammer these passes. Like, we have to hit the ball hard to get it where it needs to go. And it did sometimes lead to a lot of overhead passes that arrived hot, that then required the receiver to adjust, right? To basically trap the ball, almost like it was bouncing. It's bouncing up. They're having to like half jump to receive a pass, a pretty standard 10, 12-yard pass like that. But I do think the U.S. had in their brain, checking the field conditions, we're not going to let this be something that kills us. Either give up a bet. How many times have you seen a field like that lead to a goal going the other direction because a pass is left short and a forward pounces, and next thing you know, you got a goal? And honestly, there may have been that situation a couple of times. It just didn't ending up as a goal for Jamaica in the end.
Yeah, no, yeah. At the beginning of the game, Jamaica was definitely trying to jump on those situations, and thankfully there was no wildly wayward back passes or anything like that. Nate in the chat, this thing called turf may have helped, yes, but in North America, I lament the fact that there's so much turf going on. But yeah, in that
when
situation,
you say turf, hold on, let's be clear. When you say turf, you mean the artificial kind. You mean the fake stuff. That's what we've shortened this to, just turf. Turf doesn't mean fake grass. Turf means grass. It means regular, standard, growing, natural plant grass. And we just call all the artificial stuff turf now. Like, oh, they got turf. No. Every field has turf. It's just that's the artificial kind. I guess that's what Nate means, right? Artificial turf. I don't know that would be better, remember playing in the Monsters Cave down in San Jose, Costa Rica, and they had an artificial surface at Saprissa Stadium, and it was always it wasn't better. It wasn't better, is what I'm saying. Part of this is about money. Part of this is about what kind of resources you have to throw at a problem like that. The Premier League, MLS teams, they got lots of money to throw at a groundskeeper to take care of everything. The Jamaican FA has kind of been messy. I know that's the national stadium and it hosts other things. Maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it was a good atmosphere down there. Enjoyed there were a lot of fun crowd shots. The broadcast was just kind of entertaining in general last night. But
Jamaicans come out. They come out. And that place, it's funny because it's like they're having a great time and they're like, we're going to the office. Because that's what they call it. It's the nickname, right? We're going to do work at the office. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Jump up and down and wave your Jamaican flag and go to the office and do work. It's great.
And it was good to see USA come out with that 1-0 win, because we saw a famous game in similar type field conditions where the United States did not come out on top. In the old Trinidad and Tobago was not too dissimilar, but United States come out with a 1-0 win in the first leg of the Nations League quarterfinal. We'll come back to that in segment 2, but long ball number 2 of the day. International break is in full swing across the globe. We'll start in South America. Argentina surprisingly lose to Paraguay 2-1.
Surprisingly, I mean, I guess, sure.
They're the top of the league top of the table in CONMEBOL.
You're absolutely right that they're so far the best team in CONMEBOL, and so for them to lose seems surprising. But this is South America. This is CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying. There's not a more intense sporting competition in the world, maybe. Right? And when I say I mean what I mean is they leave it on the field every single time they play. Like for Paraguay, who is in 6th now, I think they were already in 6th because the Venezuela's 4 points back after a draw last night against Brazil. So you got Paraguay's in an automatic qualifying position with 7 matches to play now, and things are tight. What I'm saying is, for Paraguay, it's not just about the points towards qualification, right? It's we beat Argentina. Like for them on that day, it is incredibly important to the country to beat Argentina. You know what I'm saying? Like in a way that, like as American soccer fans, and I don't think that it's like we can't comment because we can't understand. But I do think there's something to be said for the fact that as American soccer fans, we want to beat Mexico every time we play Mexico. Like we do. We want to beat them. But we also just want to advance in the tournament or to win the trophy or to get the points towards qualification, whatever. Those things are important to us. And it's not the entire country of the United States who rises up to go, we need to beat Mexico. It's soccer fans. And it's soccer fans who specifically root for the U.S. men's national team when we're in a country filled with people who root for all other kinds of national teams. There's no doubt that in Paraguay, the entire country is like having a moment right now today because they beat Argentina. And they did it at home. And come on, that's great.
Yeah, they even came from behind, going down early. An 11th minute goal by Martinez, and then they turned it around just a few moments later, and then I got a second half winner, and we're able to hold on. I did see in the chat, Miguel brings up Bolivia taking a heavy loss. They lost 4-0 last night. That's a difficult one, dropping the result to Ecuador.
Here's the thing, and Miguel knows this, right? We know this. This is the usual way of things in South America when it comes to Bolivia, right? When Bolivia is in La Paz and they're basically playing in the clouds, they win. They can win. They usually have a very good showing because they have such a massive advantage because there's no oxygen available, right? We saw Argentina go and struggle in Bolivia, right? That's what, and then they go somewhere else. They go somewhere like Ecuador, and they get hammered because they're not that good. Bolivia is not a top-level footballing nation. I mean, remember this from the Gold Cup. Like, it's about as the United States was. Bolivia was worse, if that's possible, in that tournament. So, yeah, that I feel for them, and you would like one day. Are you that angry about this result, Robert? Wow, what's happening over there?
No, there's no school today, so the children are above my head, and they
They're
just
very
dropped
upset.
something very heavy above my head.
They're very upset. Bolivia, by the way, Bolivia not completely out of it yet, right? Chile is having an absolute horror show of a qualifying tournament, and they're really bad right now. Peru down there in ninth place on 6 points. Bolivia's on 12 points, and again, lots of that coming from their performances at home. But they actually went to Chile and won, which that's how bad Chile is. Bolivia went to Chile and won.
It's
But you
wild how Chile's fallen off.
but there, and this is the thing I was going to try to say, is the intensity is still there. It is still life and death to win the game that you're in. And generally speaking, I mean, if you get Argentina against anybody, they want to win. Colombia, is a very good team. You want to beat Colombia, whatever. It doesn't matter. The permutations are we want to win. They're our next door neighbor and we hate them, or they're just a big footballing power and we want to beat them, or we're Argentina, we're supposed to win every game and we know we're going to get kicked and clawed and potentially bitten and who knows what else down in South America. I wondered if World Cup qualifying with 7 spots available, 6 automatic qualifying spots and a 7th for a intercontinental playoff, with the expanded World Cup to 48 teams coming in 2026, if that was going to take some of the intensity out of the process. No, I should have known better. That's not how it works. And they don't suddenly go, you know what? It's easier to get into the tournament now. Let's just not play as hard. No, they still go out there and leave everything on the line.
They refuse to be the two teams that don't make it into the tournament. Don't make them bleed their own blood. They will fight hammer, tooth, and nail to get into the tournament. And especially like if there's so many qualification spots, it would be horrible to be in the minority and not make it.
Yeah. Like what a shame if you fail to qualify for a World Cup when 7 South American nations can get in. Like that, how bad are you? And that, again, that's where Chile is right now.
So
Gareca.
So the groundskeeper in Venezuela came up with a creative solution to facilitate some points in World Cup qualifying. Did you see this, Jason? It was stoppage time. Venezuela knotted up one apiece with Brazil, and the sprinklers turned on and broke up action down in Venezuela, which led to all sorts of hijinks. The sprinkler system came on the pitch with a couple minutes to go in stoppage time, tied 1-1.
Yeah. Brazil's not great right now, right? As much talent as they have, Brazil is not great right now, and their performances reflect that. Now, they've climbed back up into third. They're still going to qualify for the World Cup. They've put together some results. So they were on a 2-game winning streak. They had beaten Chile in Chile. Again, Chile is muy malo. They're very bad. And then they had beaten Peru, also very bad, in Brazil. So they collected 6 points. They climbed their way to third, but they're not world beaters at this point. And again, it's shocking that that's the case when you have Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha and Savinho and Guimaraes and Gabriel and Marquinhos and I could go on, and Ederson and goal. Like, it's nuts that they're not better than they are. But I guess give credit to Venezuela, right? Not a traditional power in South America, more of a baseball country in terms of producing top level talent in sports. But they have a shot at a World Cup, and I think that's great.
Moving to UEFA, England avenged their first ever loss to Greece. The interim manager for England lost, what was that, a month or two ago to Greece, but a much changed squad for the Three Lions got a 3-0 win.
Yeah.
Names like Watkins, Madueke, Curtis Jones, and Bellingham all put together a great performance to sweep away Greece.
Yeah, it was the Curtis Jones goal in the 83rd minute that helps England go to the top of their group. Remember that they're playing in League B in the Nations League. They got relegated because of their performance last year in the Nations League prior to this one. So they need to top the group to be promoted, so they can go back up to League A for the next edition of the Nations League. And they really needed that. They needed that third goal from Curtis Jones in order to do it. They are tied on points with Greece, but it was that goal that puts their chances of progressing at a better level. I think it might be head-to-head and goal difference head-to-head rather than overall. I don't know what to say about England. I mean, Lee Carsley, again, he's a lame duck coach. He's just doing what he can do in this moment. I think the Thomas Tuchel experience is going to be fascinating to watch. Will he get something better out of them than what they've been? I don't know. Why is he not on the job exactly? Like, why did they give him like until 2025? It's like, I got to get my affairs in order. What is that, Thomas? Like, I don't know, nothing. I'm just going to sit around the house and, I don't know, drink wine.
Yeah, it's great if you can do it. I mean, Jurgen Klopp did the same thing with his Red Bull gig. Is like, I'd love to be in that. I will take this huge paycheck job, but give me a couple months to settle in around
Right.
the house, rearrange my furniture, or
Yeah,
maybe take some vacations.
he's probably doing WFH. Got to get your office set up. You know, when you do those Zoom calls, you want that background to be clean. You don't want, you got to make sure that people understand like this is my workspace. Don't come in here during work hours. It could be on a Zoom call, like that kind of stuff. You got to get that all taken care of. You don't want your kids dropping stuff on the floor upstairs that interrupts what you're doing when you're live, Robert. Nobody wants that.
It was kind of funny. The English footy media was wringing their hands. There was players that dropped out of the squad. Like, why isn't Tuchel on the job? We're
Yeah.
really might sideline or derail our Nations League campaign, and then changed up team, interim lame duck coach, they get the win. Anyway, other scores, across Europe, Ireland beat Finland, who has not won a single game in Nations League. Norway, they got a win. Holland, of course, getting on the score sheet there. France, 0-0 against Israel. That is possibly notable there. And Italy getting a win over Belgium.
I mean, it's notable that France couldn't score against Israel when they took 24 shots and couldn't find a way past Israel. And obviously, Kylian Mbappe was left out of this squad by Didier Deschamps. And there's a lot to talk about that. And Deschamps really didn't answer the question as to why he did it, even though he kind of said, we just decided that this is the best thing for right now. It is, it's typically French. It's typically French for them to have this. And now they've got Italy next, which I believe is a top of the table or top of the group kind of situation. France on 10 points, Italy now on 13. So and this is the final game of the group stage. So if you want to, if you want to move on, because if you finish second, you have to go into a playoff to get into the next round of the tournament. If you top the group, you get that bye into that round.
You know what, Jason, in a world that kind of seems upside down and it seems kind of crazy, it is a little bit comforting to know that there is some things that are normal, that the French team have internal turmoil.
Right.
There are some things that remain the same.
Yes. Yeah. It is good to know as we go through a world of upheaval that when it comes to France, we can expect it's what is it? Plus ça change? Do you know that phrase in French? Plus ça change?
What's that mean?
I might butcher the pronunciation, but it means the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that's France. Yeah.
Beautiful. The international break cracks on everyone getting second games at the other side of the weekend, but we move on to long ball number 3. I know that you were nervous about this. You were on the edge of your seat. Right. Would the Club World Cup get a sponsor for their trophy?
Well,
big news, big presentation.
I wouldn't say sponsor. I wouldn't say sponsor. This is they made the trophy. You're talking about Tiffany and Company, world famous jeweler and the place you go when you want to buy a special present for your wife because you're really in trouble because you really screwed up. That's Tiffany, right? Or people buy their engagement rings, stuff like that. And they do have that sort of like, oh, it's Tiffany, ooh, right? Wasn't it Breakfast at Tiffany's, right? That kind of set the whole thing up for them. Yeah. What incredible marketing to be included in that movie,
right?
That way and have that. So you're teasing us. I didn't think about the Club World Cup trophy. Like I had not had a single thought about what it might look like or whether it was going to be, I don't know, over the top or subtle. We're going to watch this video together. I don't think, Robert, you've seen the whole thing.
No.
But let's see. And I'm going to try to manage the audio here. So my initial... Okay, here we go. I hope this isn't too loud for everybody. There we go. What are we looking at here, Robert?
It doesn't look like a cup.
I hear, I have details on this. So you got, I hear that this changes. It morphs. It can be both flat as a shield and then do that and become a, what are we calling that? What is it? Orbital structure is what that's called. So, like,
When they hold it above their head when they win it, it's going to be like spinning and moving on them.
That's a good question. Like, has anybody thought about the safety concerns
You don't
with this
want to.
trophy? I can't talk over that part.
Freed from desire.
So, okay. Created in collaboration with Tiffany and Company, the 24-karat gold Vermeil Trophies Shield can transform. What is Vermeil? Is that a type of gold application?
I'll Google it.
It's not gold plating. It's not gold. Okay. Gold Vermeil Trophy Shield can transform into a multifaceted and orbital structure. It looks like a prop from The Fifth Element, is what it looks like to me. Like, it's got all those weird symbols on it. What were those symbols? I'm gonna see if I can pull it back up to this moment. I'm muted this time, so we don't have to hear the song. But I'm gonna add it back to this.
Vermeil is a type of jewelry made by coating sterling silver with a layer of gold.
Oh, okay. So it's silver with gold on top. So it's like extra. Oh, look, it's got Braille. That's cool. It's got Braille for the words that are on it. So that's nice and inclusive. I still, again, it looks like The Fifth Element to me. It looks like we need to match that symbol and match symbol to save the universe, Robert. What's going on here? Oh man. Oh,
But you know what this makes me think of? Like, thank goodness they secured this partnership. I mean, this was probably more important than a broadcast partner, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we still don't know where these games are going to be shown, but at least we have a fancy trophy made by Tiffany's. Here's Johnny Infantino's quote about this trophy. The aim was to make it a symbol of a new era in global club football, to be daring and bold when it comes to its format and design, whilst highlighting the prestige with timeless gold as we kick off the most inclusive and merit-based club competition in the world. Oh, Johnny.
That is rich. Merit-based after the Inter Miami Supporters Shield invitation debacle. Saying it's merit-based is quite something.
Okay, this is always, they're always too much with these explanations for the inspiration. It's not just like, oh, we wanted to make something that looked cool. It's got to be inspired by, X, Y, and Z. It's inspired by 4 key elements. Again, Fifth Element, the 4 key elements: maps of pioneering journeys, the periodic table, astronomy, and the Voyager Golden Records. Do you know what that is, Robert?
The Voyager Golden Records.
Yeah, when they launched the Voyager satellites, they put gold records in the satellite. So if those records were found by extraterrestrial cultures, they might be able to listen to our music.
Okay, is this like some sort of a shout out to, like, there's actually going to be aliens watching the game?
I don't know.
Maybe that's what we're gonna have, like some sort of galactic broadcast partner for this.
I mean, I remember Sepp Blatter, Johnny Infantino's predecessor, saying that he imagined he was dreaming one day of soccer on the moon. That was like a thing he wanted to get accomplished. One of FIFA's chief goals was to get soccer on the moon. I just don't.
I think that we could even make a segment out of Infantino, like for our soccer is weird segment. I think we could do just pull out Infantino
Johnny
clips.
stuff. Yeah.
Johnny
or Sepp, who's still around. What is Sepp up to these days? Do you think he's like watching these things happen, watching this trophy unveiling and going, that could have been me. I could have unveiled that incredibly weird trophy. Why didn't I think of that? Like,
I sure hope nobody pinches their fingers when that obelisk thing rotates.
It's going to happen. Somebody is going to get injured from this trophy. It's going to be... it definitely is like one of those things where, like, if you spin it the right way and make it into the right shape, then the portal opens and then we can like travel to distant futures and distant universes, and maybe there's a parallel universe Lionel Messi just waiting to get his hands on this Club World Cup trophy. That's okay.
You need a multi-pass to lift up this trophy from the
A
fifth.
multi-pass. You do need a Lilu Dallas multi-pass to get access to this trophy. Yeah.
The Club World Cup draw in Miami December 5th, so they are progressing towards this being a thing that happens. There's plenty of fervor against it with players and some notable coaches, but they push on. They've got a sponsor or a partner for the trophy, and they are doing the draw for the Club World Cup December 5th. So it's going to happen, it seems like. Jason, last word on the Club World Cup. It's going to happen. They made a trophy.
That's the most I can say right now is it seems like it's gonna happen. I think it could still maybe not happen, but it seems like it's going to happen. Certainly now that we have a trophy, we can be a little bit more confident. I don't know. Maybe Johnny just takes the trophy and says, "You know what? This is mine. It belongs to me now."
All right, chat. Enter in some of your favorite Johnny Infantino quotes, and we might come to that at the end of the show. Put those in the chat. Today, I feel like leaving a good comment. Like and subscribe to the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. That's the key here, folks. Like and subscribe. Let's get pushing on to 500 to our eventual goal of 50,000 MK Ultras. Follow us on the social media, X and the Instagram. And we're going to take a quick breather and come right back with today's hot topic. Friday's hot topic, 1-0 win, Mauricio Pochettino's first competitive game.
Yeah.
And he went on the road to Kingston, Jamaica, secured the win.
Yeah, I don't know that we can call it an impressive victory. I don't know that we can call it anything more than what it was, which was, a gritty sort of effort. I mean, I do think that there was an elevation in sort of the intensity of this team. Now, you can't quantify that. Like, it's almost impossible to quantify that. So it's just a matter of what we saw and whether we think it was different in terms of the response. Now, again, I mentioned this, and I'll say it. If not for Matt Turner saving a penalty, very good save on a pretty decent shot, by the way, then this is different. If Yunus Musa doesn't make a goal line tackle, this is different. If there's a review on a potential handball on Tim Ream, this is different. Like, there are lots of moments that went the United States' way that feel like luck more than, I mean, not Matt Turner saving a penalty is luck, but he also gave up the penalty with a poor decision or being slow to the ball that led to that. So I want to feel good about it, right? I do. And I think what matters most in this sport, just like in any sport, is winning the damn game. Just win the game. Win the game. Now, it's also important to remember in the context of this matchup that this is a aggregate scoreline situation. So you won the game. You took one goal with you to go to St. Louis. Now, if you get a 0-0 draw in St. Louis, you win the tie, you move on. No one will love that, but that's the point, right, is to move on. I'll be curious to hear what Pochettino thinks of that performance and whether we're going to get a little bit more of a review from him. I think after the Mexico game, which, of course, wasn't a competitive match or didn't mean anything, and he didn't have a couple of his big names who had decided to leave and he had let them leave or whatever, he talked about, he talked about good parts of that performance, but we also had reports he wasn't happy. Like, he wasn't happy with the way that they played.
He couldn't.
And Matt Turner talked about that this week, that there was some things that they talked about, that it wasn't good enough. Was this one good enough, Robert? That's what I'm still not sure.
The result, I say, like, to your point, the result was what we would have wanted. But, I mean, there was plenty of moments that could have, gone the other way. And this could have been a much different conversation with, if video assistant referee was a thing. It would have been a much different story. I should have mentioned at the top of the show on the Kickaround X channel, there's a poll. What do you think? USA was good or lucky? Get your vote in. With just a few dozen votes, USA was good on top by 63
Okay.
to 37 margin.
I think we want to feel good. Like we want to. Like we're kind of hungry for, hey, that was a good performance, and I'm ready to think positively about the team. I mean, I don't think that the enthusiasm was very high going into this game. Like I think the usual suspects, the people who care most about the U.S. men's national team, whether they're online people or not, just weren't up for this game. Like I have people that I've been friends with for years who have followed me through my career, listened to the Best Soccer Show, who have opted in on things like Patreon and stuff like that, who are soccer fans through and through, who yesterday morning were like, "Oh, there's a game? What?
Really?
Oh, I forgot." No,
There's
you
that
know what?
much apathy going on right now?
Absolutely, I think there is. Absolutely. Now, I think there's a hardcore that obviously there's no such thing as apathy for them, and Pochettino is bringing back a little bit of that energy, but this is definitely a down moment. Like we are in a valley right now for interest in the U.S. men's national team, and it's not Mauricio Pochettino's job isn't to bring enthusiasm back to the fan base. His job is to win games in order to get to a place where in 2026 this team is ready to play and do well in a World Cup. But those things go hand in hand. They're parallel to one another. So if we did win this game in a more convincing fashion, if we had a couple of highlight reel goals to go with this victory, I think it would feel a little different today. But I do think people want to be encouraged by this, and I am to a point.
To break down the game itself, we speculated there's only two fullbacks on the camp roster. Would there be a back three or a back four? It turned out to be a back four. We talked about the field being slow and kind of rough. Jamaica came out early, trying to press, trying to get a turnover or something like that. But once the United States got on the ball, it took a couple minutes. Once they got their foot on the ball and controlled, there was a pocket of space there in the middle in front of the Jamaican defense. And I was impressed that the United States identified that almost immediately. And that's what led to the goal.
Yeah.
Johnny Cardoso, which I know you're so on. He found Pulisic with a nice, quality, clever turn into space, lovely layoff to Pepe, who, touched it into space. And then I don't know if it was a scuffed hit or what, but a perfectly placed shot that left Andre Blake no opportunity to save, and it banked in off of the upright for an excellent goal. And Pepe is the kind of guy. I think he's going to make the most of his opportunity of getting that start, and he did. And I'm starting to think that he's a guy that he's a feel good factor guy that I think everyone, if this continues, if he keeps scoring, everyone wants to be on the Pepe train, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, no, of course. Of course. I mean, we just need somebody to step up and start scoring goals from the
Yeah,
front of the
is he the
formation.
number one guy at number 9?
He's not. Nobody is yet. I mean, nobody is like, oh, that's the guy that needs to start. First of all, I do think that there needs to always be adaptability in the lineup, and Pochettino's not a guy who's going to be like, oh, he's always going to play. Well, actually, there are two guys, and I guess you could throw Matt Turner in, but that's kind of again by default. There are two guys who are absolutely must starts for the U.S. men's national team every time they step on the field: Christian Pulisic, Anthony Robinson. That's it. That's the list. Those are the only two players that you cannot take out of this team right now, in my mind. Now, I think that's a problem in the sense that there aren't 8 more guys, 9 more guys who are absolutely must starts every single time. But it gives Pochettino an opportunity to move forward and think about this as, hey, in this moment, I think this player. I mean, I didn't expect Tanner Tessman and Johnny Cardoso to start next to each other last night. Like, I didn't expect that. He played with a double pivot on the road in Jamaica. And I think if it was a different manager, and obviously if there was a different result, clearly that's a part of this, because this is results-based. Our emotions around this are results-based. But if a different manager had started a double pivot on the road against Jamaica, people would be like, what the hell? Like, who are we? Are we, what are you, why aren't we being more aggressive? Why aren't we going for it? But of course, Pochettino knows the game and understands where those pockets might be available, how Jamaica might attack you when they get the ball, and maybe where you can put players like Weston McKennie, who played ahead of that double pivot, in places where they can be involved and be effective. And again, Pulisic was clearly just wherever he wanted to be. He was just wherever he wanted to be, which I do think is the right approach to using Christian Pulisic right now in this moment. And you accurately described the sequence that led to the goal. what I was most impressed by is, again, Pulisic is looking for the ball, but in this situation, and it's a couple of times he was trying to dribble guys, but there have been moments when he felt like he had to carry the team, where he would dribble into cul-de-sacs, where he would get himself in trouble, where he'd get hacked down and not get a call because it's CONCACAF. They're not going to give you much of those calls. And in this game, he was effective being the provider, being the guy who was looking. And Pepe makes the run, and Pulisic plays that ball so quickly. Like, there's no stop, look up, Pepe's going, and lose that opportunity. It was, the ball was on his feet and the ball was off his foot to get to Pepe, to get him into space. And again, Pepe scuffed the shot, but he hit the post and it doesn't matter. So there you go.
I thought this game the opening 15 minutes were highly entertaining. I was like, wow, this is a really fun game. There was intensity, lots of energy. The teams are figuring it out. I mean, obviously this great goal and there's some chances after it. But after the Pepe goal, then we saw kind of Jamaica kind of try to press once again, and they forced some mistakes out of the United States,
Yeah.
Which led to the penalty decision. It was a bad pass from Scally, a couple missed tackles, and then Turner taking out the Jamaican attacker, and it looked like this might go south, because that was a cacophony of bad play there from the Americans, and but Matt Turner showing his ability to be a top quality shot stopper.
Yeah, I mean, you need those moments, right? No matter what you think about how the U.S. should be playing or whether or not the margin should be bigger, these are the kind of games you get in CONCACAF away. I mean, it's been said. I'll repeat it. Mauricio Pochettino has as many away wins in CONCACAF as Greg Berhalter did in his entire run, because he beat Jamaica away, and that's something Berhalter struggled to do, was to win away in CONCACAF. So you take these results, and you have to be conscious of that history, of that difficulty. The field is a great equalizer, right? The energy of the crowd is an advantage. The heat and the humidity. I think it was 90 degrees with incredible humidity. Like, it was hot. It was a sauna. They're playing in a sauna. Like, those things affect you, whether you want to dismiss them as a reason for a lackluster performance or not. They affect you. So this is one of those things where, again, we all want to demand more. We all want to see more, and we would feel better if it was 3-0. But we should consider that context and recognize that this team did something, again, that they didn't do under Berhalter, and that should be enough. And it required Tim Ream. I'm sorry, not Tim Ream. We'll get to him in a second. I see a message about him. It required Matt Turner, after he made the mistake or after the penalty is committed, to save that shot. It requires Yunus Musa to be timely with a clearance. It requires some other things to happen. It requires a little bit of luck. And again, I'll bring this in because Mateo's mentioning it. Ream looks washed. We need to see what else we have. It's pointless to run him out there anymore. I don't think he's washed. Again, consider the 90 degrees and the humidity and the surface. I don't think Tim Ream is washed, but I do have time for the argument that Tim Ream shouldn't be starting games in 2024 when you are not that far away from a World Cup in 2026.
Yeah, and also in that sequence of events that led to that penalty, you can't say that you have a ton of confidence in the other center backs that are, in the team. I mean, McKenzie didn't put himself in any sort of position of glory in there. And I can't remember. There was a second defender that missed a tackle there. So that was a little scary. And then throughout the game, jumping around a little bit, but throughout the game, the long ball, there was some nervousness and some maybe a little bit of wobble in the confidence when fielding those like long high balls. I mean, they were a lot of 50-50s, and it didn't turn out, Jamaica didn't seize on those opportunities, but I feel like there was opportunities there on those long balls for the forwards running at the back line.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it's normal, right? It's par for the course for the U.S. men's national team, especially in this era. So what are we looking for? I mean, what should we look to as the biggest point of concern? Is it, they didn't perform well, in which case you're talking about, is there an extra level for this team, Robert? Like, is there these players? Like, are they capable of playing better? Or are they at their ceiling? This is just who they are, and you need to cover up for those deficiencies. Right? Again, this is the issue with Reem. Whether Reem is washed or not is certainly worth asking whether you want a 37-year-old starting games if when you get to World Cup 2026, he's not going to be on the field, and you will have not given another player an opportunity to experience these kind of things that could help them. At the same time, Mauricio Pochettino knows winning is the most important thing every single time they step out there, particularly in a competition like the Nations League. You want to win it. And he's going to put out the 11 he thinks is going to win the game. And right now, that includes Tim Ream.
So the first 15 minutes of this game, electric. And then after that goal, one or two Jamaican players went down. And then Cardoso actually got a legit injury and had to be subbed off. And that really slowed down the pace of the game. A little bit of the air came out of the stadium and the energy levels went down. And I wouldn't say too many notable moments happened. But in the second half, around the 60-minute mark, things fired up again. There was another about 15 minutes of intense action when I think it was, what is his name? Lowe for Jamaica ran through the back of Pulisic and that set up. I mean, he ran through him, kind of threw him to the ground, and then may or may not have stepped on his hand, and then that kind of fired up a kerfuffle. And it was great to see the American players, stick up for Christian, but that won Jamaica some momentum in this match, and kind of the rest of the way, the Americans were on the ropes.
I mean, again, on the ropes. I don't know if that's the case. Like, I know there were moments, right? And you could say, well, the United States lost their energy and they didn't push their advantage. They were winning the game. And they were winning the game away from home in CONCACAF, which is something they haven't done in a long time. So yeah, I mean, I guess I feel this thing of like, I wanted it to be better, and I wanted them to not fall behind in sort of the run of play, the balance of play. But they won the game. And at this point, the upshot is that's what matters. Let's build a winning culture. Let's show we can win away in a place like Jamaica.
Just a couple final thoughts on the broadcast. I thought there was some pretty fun crowd shots. I mean, somehow the director panned away to a crowd member kind of looking on at some girls on some Instagram on the broadcast. Not sure how that made it, but that was kind of fun. The guys in the crowd wearing the ICE t-shirts doing the VAR signal when clearly there was no video assistant replay coming in. They're down in Kingston. I don't know if you saw those guys. And then near the end, the Jamaican fans filing out after the red card, didn't like it. And I saw a guy in a bright yellow bathrobe with a Jamaica flag stitched on the back. He was pretty entertaining guy. Nice. So, nice. And also when the penalty was taken, Damari Gray might have got shook by the vuvuzelas in the band, because it was kind of a intense moment there. And then you didn't notice how intense the crowd was being until the penalty was missed, and all of the sound, the drums, the vuvuzelas, all that went away. So I don't know if Damari Gray had the benefit of a home field advantage there with the crowd noise. Maybe an NFL like quieting down the crowd for the quarterback for the home team might have been the thing. But we move along second leg of the Nations League quarterfinal Monday night in St. Louis. We'll see what happens as Americans take the slim advantage home. I mean, I know we're on the edge of a seat. Will they make the semifinals of the Nations League, Jason?
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. I'm done with this game. Let's move on, Robert. I'm done with this game.
All right, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Instagram. We're going to come right back with Culture Wars here on Morning Kickaround. So in American soccer, there is a laundry list of clubs that have come and gone, sadly fading away to memories rather than playing out on the field. And this week, plenty of lower league American chaos, both in the USL Championship and in USL 1. We'll start off in the USL Championship. Memphis FC, or Memphis 901, excuse me. They could not secure a stadium, so they said so long, and they've waived their USL Championship rights, and it's moving to Santa Barbara.
Yeah, well, okay. So this is from what I understand, and I by no means am I, deep inside of the USL world and what's going on there. But my understanding is, yes, that this came down to Memphis 901 not being able to find a proper home venue that met second division standards in the United States. Now, I've seen this opinion out there, and there is one example, or actually, I guess there's two examples of this happening. For not necessarily for stadium reasons as much as for the financial concerns. I've seen the argument that Memphis 901 should not just give up, that they shouldn't just sell their franchise rights or transfer them to Santa Barbara, whatever, that they should maybe self-relegate, go down to USL League One, where the spend is lower, right? The financial commitment is smaller. This is what Richmond did, and this is what North Carolina FC did. I think those were largely pandemic-related decisions, if I remember that correctly. We do have, we have other teams that have been on hiatus. KT is mentioning OKC Energy. They had a stadium plan in the works already. I don't know where that is right now. I can't remember what's going on in Oklahoma because it's gotten a little quiet on that front, sort of publicly. Memphis, I don't believe, had a plan, right? This is, again, the issue is they couldn't figure out what even the plan was. Could they have self-relegated and gone into USL League One and survived as a club and maybe one day figured out their stadium to meet second division standards and moved up? Perhaps. But it is a function of American soccer's place in our sporting culture that those are never easy questions to answer. Like, those are never easy decisions to make, and it sucks. Like, I hate this. I don't even know if I'm mad at the ownership at Memphis 901 or USL Championship or USL the organization, who I they have to meet the standards that US Soccer puts in. I know there's also a big question about the professional league standards to begin with that we don't have time to get into. This just stinks. This just stinks. And I will say, what I hear about Santa Barbara is that they're not exactly all lined up with an ownership group to handle the financial commitment there either. And that's a team that has been in situ for 3 years at this point. We've seen the Santa Barbara logo. Like, that thing has existed longer than some other soccer clubs have been playing in this country, but they haven't put a team on the field yet. And I don't know. Santa Barbara Sky is the name of that team, right? And they have the kind of the statuesque image of Santa Barbara, although lots of people are saying they just stole the OL, or they took the Seattle Reign logo, basically. Anyway, it is all messy. It all stinks, and it sucks for any Memphis soccer fans, because I don't know if anybody's going to go back to Memphis anytime soon.
Yeah, they were playing in a baseball stadium, so I know obviously it wasn't perfect, but you got to feel for the players and the staff and the fans and everyone involved in there that, once again, one of the biggest components of success in American soccer right now is real estate deals. I mean, here in Detroit for a good period of time, rather. The only time you heard about soccer and any sort of non-soccer specific thing was real estate news. Is there going to be a stadium here? Is this person going to buy this plot of land? And it's rearing its ugly head. A soccer club doesn't exist because there was an inability to get a real estate deal done. And that just sucks.
Yeah, well, look at what happened in Indianapolis. Like, that craziness. I mean, I think it's very easy to be jaded and cynical, and maybe rightfully so, to be jaded and cynical as a soccer fan, as you watch people with money. And of course, there are tiers to that, right? Like, this guy's got a lot of money. This guy's got crazy amounts of money. And there's this range of, like, okay, well, I'm trying to leverage. I think Ozdemir in Indianapolis is the guy. Like, he's a construction guy. He's a builder, right? That's what he does. So for him, everything's about real estate. Everything's about getting your hands on the right plot of land to build the next development to make more money. And so everything feels dirty and gross and like it's not in service of the game. Everything feels like it's only in service of these rich people and their real estate plays. But the problem with for us as American soccer fans is that we don't have a league. We don't have multiple leagues. We don't have these stadiums. We don't even have a dream of this if real estate wasn't a major thing for these people with a lot of money, because we cannot go back in time. We can't get in the time machine and go back to 1910 or 1895 or 1873 and get a bunch of blokes together, like a bunch of guys, like, hey, can we just get together and start
Come
a club?
on, we need some blokes.
You know, we should call it Indianapolis Heath or whatever. Like we should call it Joe's, whatever. It doesn't matter. Joe's soccer team. And then one day, what's going to happen is we'll join with another team and we'll call ourselves United, because that's what you do when you join up with another soccer team. And then we'll become so important to the community that we sort of blossom into this thing that can't go anywhere. That is the furniture that is rooted in the community. Our soccer teams are not rooted in their communities. Like, I don't mean that just in the sense of they don't have a place to play like Memphis. I mean, they don't matter to the civic identity of their cities in most cases. Not in all cases, but in most cases. And therefore, they are easily dismissed. They are easily ignored. They are easily and look, all stadiums are kind of bad. Like, we know this now. All stadiums are kind of bad for the public if there's public money involved. Like, they don't really work out economically. But I don't think that's a reason not to do them. I don't think that reason is the reason that you never do them. I think that stadiums can serve massive purposes, not just for me as a soccer fan because I want my game to be properly played in the proper venue, but for the civic identity, the pride that comes from being from Detroit or DC or Denver or Chicago or whatever. Like, okay, this thing represents me and who I am. And that matters. So even if we're spending tax money that could, in some cases maybe be quote unquote better spent in other areas, those things are important to the wider culture of your town. And I'm glad we have enough examples of that happening, even at the lower division levels, to feel encouraged about the future of American soccer. Right? Louisville got theirs done. KT, who jumped in here saying that OKC Stadium is building, they're going to be getting construction soon. It's been a long time coming. But they're getting there. They're getting to a place where they can build that. Minor league soccer stadiums, sorry to use that word, but minor league soccer stadiums are maybe the biggest symbol of professional soccer's growth in this country right now. Mm-hmm. Because MLS is pretty much built out. I mean, they got a couple of teams that are in their own buildings, but MLS has done the work. That was a whole thing. I was watching city council meetings from places on the other side of the country because I cared so much about getting a stadium built in Portland or refurbished, reinvented in Portland or wherever, right? San Jose, name it. I cared about those things because it mattered to American soccer's growth. And now we've moved down a level and we're doing this in the championship. That's great. But it also means that some teams, if they don't matter enough, if they're the people that don't have enough money or there's not a real estate play to make, these things are going to happen. I don't know if it's okay that it happens necessarily, Robert, because every death of a club is a tragedy, but it's part of doing business with soccer in America.
More news. Speaking of stadiums, just a follow-up point. Sacramento Republic, they had big news. They secured a stadium and or new ownership, and they made ways for a new stadium. So positivity there. We had a story about fans and ownership going back and forth and having some unpleasant words, but it looked like or it came out that there was a lot in the works in Sacramento. Yeah. So they were nervous about a temporary stadium being overused for too long, but plans for a new stadium in Sacramento are moving forth. And but not to be undone, more USL news down in USL 1. An announcement came, I think, just yesterday. 2 clubs are leaving USL 1. Northern Colorado Hailstorm and Central Valley Fuego no longer a part of USL 1.
Yes. So this was, in terms of the Hailstorm, the franchise agreement was canceled by the league. This came after the developer of Future Legends Sports Complex, where they play, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So this is a matter of, again, a stadium issue, proper place to play, that kind of thing, not meeting standards. Sometimes you get a waiver. You can play in a venue that doesn't quite meet the standards, but you got to upgrade the lighting, or you got to upgrade the locker rooms, or you got to have the right capacity, those kind of things. The field's got to be the right size, all that stuff. But you have to eventually fix those things. And this seems like it may be part of the story here. Again, Northern Colorado hailstorm, not necessarily a long-standing part of the American soccer community, but this is troubling. I do think there's a statement out there somewhere, Robert, from Northern Colorado that says we're not folding. Right? There's the
Not
there's
leaving.
the there's the statement from USL, or the news from USL. As we prepare to welcome 5 new clubs to USL League One, we are excited about the opportunities. Basically saying, so long, Northern Colorado. We don't need you anyway. We've got other things coming. But the statement from the Northern Colorado Hailstorm: we are very disappointed that USL has made the unfortunate unilateral surprise decision. It's a lot of adjectives. Unfortunate unilateral surprise decision to part ways despite our many efforts. We are actively exploring exciting opportunities for the 2025 season and beyond, and Hailstorm will be playing at Future Legends Complex next year. We are not folding and have no intention of ceasing operations. Stay tuned for some updates about this new era for our club. Now, the problem for Northern Colorado Hailstorm is if you are no longer part of the USL family, you've got to go and join up with some of the sketchier leagues in our country. I mean, I say that. I say it with love. I mean, does anybody think NISA is a well-run, well-oiled, properly functioning American Soccer League? I don't know. And where else are they going to go besides NISA unless they don't want to be pro? And that's a big blow.
That would be pretty wild if anyone built a stadium for like an NPSL side or something. So you'd think it would be NISA, and NISA has really been on life support since the start, but the last 2 years they barely go a match week without some sort of a cancellation or a forfeit or something like that.
They're kicking teams out during the playoffs or right before the playoffs. Teams are getting kicked out. Maryland Bobcats got kicked out?
Yeah, Maryland Bobcats.
Wow,
yeah, because there was some sort of like a loan and then didn't repay the loan, and some financial problems between the club and the league led them to be dismissal. So not the picture of professional excellence yet, at the very least. We'll see if that continues. So Northern Colorado Hailstorm, they had I think they had a good run in the Open Cup. I seem to remember them having some fun results, but also part of the Central Valley Fuego story, also stadium related. And then notable that former national teamer Jermaine Jones led to a little bit of drama in there. So I thought it was interesting that there was a couple paragraphs relating to Northern Colorado, and then the Central Valley Fuego was just, and then they were dismissed too.
Yeah, there was an attempt to figure out a stadium in Fresno. This is the second time, by the way, that a professional team has come and potentially gone in Fresno, because it was it Fresno FC?
Yeah,
I think that was the name, and you had Frank Gallup was involved in that. I remember talking to him on the radio, and we're going to build something in Fresno, and then that all came to a crashing end, and that team moved to Monterey Bay and became Monterey Bay FC, which does not feel like a place that can support a professional soccer team at the championship level either. But here we are, and now it looks like Fuego is going to go too. The team played their first season 2022, unable to secure a soccer-specific stadium in Fresno. They've played their home games at Bulldog Soccer Stadium. That's the Fresno State University.
Mm-hmm.
That's the home of the women's team for Fresno State. They tried to purchase Celendarina, Valdez Hall, and an adjacent parking lot in downtown Fresno, but they were not able to get those negotiations done, which means no 7,500-seat stadium, which was their plan. Man, so anybody who has, I saw somebody said something about going to Blue Sky and, whatever. I'm on Blue Sky because I quit Twitter a while back. There's lots of reasons for that, but I'm on Blue Sky just having a little bit of fun. Try not to make it too crazy. But I was talking the other day when I realized there was a soccer community forming about dead soccer teams. Like this is something that I think about a lot. And I'm sitting in my little studio here, and if you could see around me, you would see lots of stuff with the logos of dead soccer teams on them, because even and it's all modern. Like I do have a couple of NASL vintage things, but most of the stuff I have are teams that have existed in the last 10 or 15 years, but they're dead already because that's what happens in American soccer. And I just started naming dead soccer clubs, and now we have to add. It looks like we definitely have to add Memphis 901 to the list. They're absolutely done and cooked. Whether or not Northern Colorado Hailstorm is dead, we shall see. They say they're not. Whether or not Central Valley Fuego is done, looks like it probably is. We might have to add them to the list. It's almost like, picturing a graveyard. And we got plots, we got headstones, RIP, RIP. It's done. It's done for you.
If it
Sad.
continues, we're gonna have to start stacking the dead bodies on top of each other in the cemetery.
It'll have to be like a mausoleum situation instead of a graveyard. It'll be like one of those places, like they do this in Puerto Rico too because of the moisture and everything. It's like in New Orleans. You don't bury anybody because the ground might not be there very, very long. You put them in the big stone coffins. I know there's a word for it. I can't think of it, but this is a very macabre idea that we're throwing out here. But it is a long, long list of professional soccer teams in America that have come and gone.
I think Katie King said it well, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Just in this USL1 press release, they talked about welcoming 5 new teams, while in the same release, they're talking about losing 2 different teams. So, forever expanding and contracting. And that seems to be a theme that continues here in American soccer.
And ever shall it be. Let's just say, ever shall it be. I don't know that I can see a time anytime soon when we're going to be done with this, that the churn will stop. Because, and I said this, and this is my unifying theory of sort of the history of American professional soccer, and we don't have time we're already over time, extra time. We don't have time to really dive into this. But American soccer is a league-first structure, meaning when somebody goes, hey, I want to get into the business of soccer, they don't go, I'm going to start a soccer club. They go, I'm going to start a league. Or there's the league, and then they go out and they say, hey, rich guy, by the way, you want that piece of land in town, right? Well, maybe if you owned a soccer team and you proposed a stadium, they would also let you build some apartments and some office space and an arena or a music venue. Like, maybe you can also do that. And that person like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'd like to own a soccer team. Why not? That'd be cool. And then you get expansion teams in these various places, all under the league umbrella. And so the focus is on that. And the teams rather than at that point become kind of expendable, because you're always looking for new teams and new places and new cities to fill in your league or to fill in the map. And that's the motivating philosophy. This is very much in contrast to what we've seen around the world, which is mostly a function of time and sort of how business and culture and broadcasting has changed. But I mentioned this, the idea that we don't have teams that started in 1895 because a couple of factory workers got it together and wanted to play soccer. Like they didn't exist. They didn't survive if they did start. And so in England and everywhere else, it's very club focused. The club is this central the central focus or the central body.
Pillar.
I don't know how you. Yeah, it's just the thing that people think of first to care about first is the club. And everything sort of flows from the club out to the league is only an organizing structure to allow the clubs to play each other. Here in the United States, the league is the business, and then everything else happens below that. And it explains a lot of why stuff like this happens.
Classic top-down structuring, I suppose. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for throwing in your comments. Got a reply to Nate. On the ropes, Jamaica sat back and took a mid-block. I say that. I think in my mind, on the ropes due to that Musa save on the line. And there was like a 15-minute period where they're under pressure. And I didn't know if you know this, Jason. On Wednesday's show, Nate threw in a comment. We were doing a Remember When of players in the memory hole. And he brought up that in high school, he played against Brian McBride.
Wow. That's that's great. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Did he get bloodied in any games that you played in?
I thought that him? Yeah, he didn't Nate didn't throw any details like that, but I thought that was a pretty good one. And the throw out there some love for the number one commenter of our MK Ultras. Again, thank you everyone for chiming in, tuning in. Be sure to tell your folks to subscribe to the Morning Kick Around YouTube channel. We're ticking on our goals to 500 and then 50,000 subscribers. And then follow along on social media, Kickaround on X and Instagram. On the poll on the Morning Kickaround X, the USA got lucky, slowly creeping up on the USA was good, but USA was good, still holding strong. So, busy weekend ahead for you there, Jason?
Of course. Yep, lots of stuff to do. Don't know yet what it's going to be, but there's 2 kids and there's things to get done. So we'll have a good time this weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.
All right, thanks, guys. Enjoy your soccer. See you Monday morning.